process and analysis on how to make a tie blanket. First, you need to gather all of your essentials, which you need your subject for whom you're making the blanket for. You need scissors for the 2 blankets you'll be cutting later, which we have not cut the blankets yet. And then also a tape measure for, which I don't have the tape measure right now, but I did previously measure her, which she is 66 inches in height. And then wingspan, she's 67. And then a calculator to convert it later. So we don't want the blanket to be exactly her height and width. We want it to be a little bit bigger for comfort. So she is 66 inches in height and 67 inches in wingspan. So you just want to jot that down and then take your calculator, and we're just going to double it for the blanket. So 66 times 2, 132 inches wide for the blanket. And for the wingspan, it's going to be 67 times 2, which is 134 inches for the blanket wingspan. Now we're here at Walmart in the fabric aisle to choose out the fabric of our choosing. So there's a ton of different fabrics, and I think I'm going to go with the Colts for one side of the blanket, and then just the gray normal for the other side. And now we're gonna head over to the cutting station to buy fabric to the employee, and now he's just gonna cut it with the measurements I gave him. Okay, so we got both of our blankets, and as you can see, we cut it so it is taller and wider than our subject, just for comfort. So it's all done. That's really important factor to making a tie blanket, is having a nice flat surface, just so the blanket can be flat and even. So first we're going to lay it out and just spread it out even, flatten it as much as possible. The gray one is laid down and even. Now it's time for the second one. Okay. Well, just do the same and flatten it out as best as possible, and take the corners and make sure those ones are aligned. That's the most important part. So we're just gonna flatten it, spread it out. Sometimes there's a little bit of extra fabric, the excess, so we're just gonna simply cut it off. All right, so now since both of the blankets are evenly laid on top of each other, now we're gonna start cutting. So some people like to use rulers just so the slits are exactly in line, but I'm not gonna worry about it because after you tie them, it's not gonna be noticeable anyways. So just approximately 2 inches away from each other and 4 inches deep. So I'm just gonna start, crap. All right, I'm just gonna start. So fabric scissors are easier than just normal scissors, just FYI. So here are some of the slits that I made in the blanket. So you're just gonna repeat that along all the edges of the blanket. So now we're ready to tie. So you're just gonna take both of the blankets, of the slits, and you're just gonna simply tie a knot. Just like that. But make sure you tie it tightly, just in case if you wash it, just to make sure it won't come undone. And instead of 1 knot, you're actually gonna make 2, just to make it more secure. So you're gonna double knot it again, just like that, easy. And then you're just gonna repeat it just along the blanket as well. After all the cuts and ties have been made, this is what the edges should look like. And just another thing to keep in mind, when you're doing the measurements, always go bigger, just because once you do the ties, the blanket is gonna shrink. So you always wanna go bigger just so you still get a decent size blanket. Here's the final product of the blanket. As you can see, one side is the Colts and the other side is the second fabric that we picked out, which is just the plain gray. Here are all the slits that we made, and like I said previously, it doesn't matter if they're all perfectly the same exact length, because you can't even tell once they are tied. So you want to go ahead and put it on? So it still fits her comfortably, and this is just a nice homemade gift that you can give for Christmases or birthdays or anything like that. It's inexpensive, and it's just a fun way to make something creatively.